Okay, well, we're going to go ahead and get started. It's 2 minutes after. We'll probably have some stragglers, and that's okay. So, how has let's just talk in general at the beginning. How has the challenge been going for you? Because I did get a few where they told me what challenge you chose of the four that you were given. And some people were unable to finish. Some gave reasons, some didn't. Some were valid, some were, I don't know. Um, so let's just do kind of a check in. How do you feel the challenge is going so far? Got some
It's a
thumbs
great idea.
ups?
Well structured.
Awesome.
No,
Anybody
no,
having, oh, go ahead, Mildred.
no. I think that the challenge in and of itself is actually great. I know this past week, I just got caught up into something that just totally threw me off course. So this week, I have to try to get back on course and be able to go from there.
Awesome. And you know what? I love that attitude. And that's the key because we're all going to have life happen, right? We're all going to make commitments. We're all going to have plans in our business, and life's inevitably somewhere along the way going to happen. It's going to throw us off. But the key is, do we let it keep us thrown off, or do we get back on the horse and keep going?
Yeah, I think it's a good challenge. I fell short on the 100 doors. Just that was my goal, and and in addition to an offer I was negotiating, I just didn't get it done like I wanted to. But I'll get it done this week.
And I know, Ross, you're one that usually always completes your challenges 100%.
Yes. Just the going back and forth on the offer cost me more time than I wanted it to cost me, but so far it's been worth it. But still, if I got to stay, I'd like to stay focused on the prospecting, because if I don't, then I could have a very dry month.
Absolutely. And congratulations on your offer being accepted, by the way.
Yes, thank you. Yes, it was.
All right.
This client took a long, they were very discouraged because they even had offered over on previous houses and just never got them. So they finally got one. I'm very happy for them. It's been
Yay, good job. So how many doors did you knock?
I believe I did 55. If I was going for a full 100, and I got 55 in.
Okay, nice. Anybody else have some struggles or thoughts or wins to share?
I have a win.
Okay, let's hear it.
I'm writing in my first offer today. Yeah,
All
Congratulations.
right.
thank you.
So
Thank
tell
you.
us a little bit, Sebastian, what's the source of that offer or that
It
client?
it was an investor. He messaged me last Thursday, and I talked to him on my open houses on Friday. I had two of them, and I was talking to him, and then I went over the qualifying questions with him, and we had a consultation. It was scheduled for a different time, but we pushed it forward. And then we looked at some homes together, and I sent him about seven, and he picked one that he really liked here in town where I live, and it was priced at 225. It's a 3 bed, 3 bathroom with 2,700 square feet, and the lot size is 14,000. And he really liked that one, so we're gonna go ahead and submit the offer later today.
Very good. Good job. So you got that from an open house lead?
It was actually a Facebook lead.
Okay.
Yeah. He messaged me Thursday night, and I didn't see it until Friday morning. So that's when I talked to him. Like when I was doing the open houses, I was doing other work.
Okay. Well, good job. That's the way this works, right? We put it all out there and we follow up. The
Yeah.
that phrase that sounds cliche, but it's so true, is the fortune is in the follow-up, right? We
Yeah.
gotta be willing to do that. So very good. Anybody else have some wins going on?
I have a real appointment on Monday.
Yay! Is it a listing appointment?
No,
That's okay.
but
That's
it's a potentially really good buyer's appointment. It was a referral from another Keller Williams agent up in the Bay Area, and these clients of his have bought 6 houses from him. They do all kinds of they have elder care, short-term rentals, and long-term rentals. And their son goes to Cal Poly. So they want to get something that he can live in. And then when he's done, they want to transition it to one of those other three. So
Wow.
there's the potential for more than just the one house. So yeah, so I'm very excited about that. And it took me 3 weeks to nail them down into an actual appointment. We played email tag, and then she called me this morning. So we had a really nice conversation on the phone. And so we're going to do Zoom on Monday. But I have done 2 practice listing appointments, and they went really well too. But I was getting a little tired of practice. So
Well, there you go. So let me ask you, because you guys are sending us the feedback forms and putting names on them. So I'm confident you're actually doing these practice appointments. How is that helping you?
I think it's like Emily said, she didn't want to do the practice appointments anymore. So try a little harder to get a real one.
And is it helping boost confidence for the real ones?
definitely. And in more ways than just practicing the actual presentation, just getting positive feedback from the person that you're practicing with. That has helped a lot.
Nice.
I have my first practice one Saturday morning, so I'll let you know what I think.
Awesome. We'll hear about that one.
I picked a more difficult relative because I know he'll give good feedback.
Ah, I like that. Not shying away. That's fantastic. Well, I love how you guys are really taking this challenge seriously and being all in. But guess what you're actually doing? Anybody have an idea?
Moving our business forward.
Yeah, by doing what?
The challenge.
Okay, but
Yeah.
what really is the challenge underneath it all?
Big
Mindset.
rocks.
Big rocks, okay. What else?
Mindset.
Mindset. All of these things are a part of doing your
Business.
business, your job, right? This is your job. This is what you're supposed to do on a day-to-day basis, right? We put it in the form of the challenge to make you do it. But guess what, guys? This is just what doing your job is all about. We're just adding a little extra pizzazz and fun to it. So I really hope as we do this for the next 6 weeks or for 6 weeks, that you do not stop once the challenge is over. Unless you just want to, retire or be fired. So really, guys, I'm so proud of you. And I hope you guys are all noticing everybody that's on here. And I know we even have people on here who have other jobs during the day, and they're making a point to spend their lunch hour. There's people on here that have difficulties with just what's going on with them personally right now, but they're doing it, right? You guys are all doing it. And notice we're starting to have lots of activity. Emily's got real appointments going on. She's been writing offers. Meldrin's moved up to Momentum. Sebastian's got an offer going. Rick just took a listing and opened an escrow. Ross just opened an escrow. Maria's got a listing coming up. Autumn's got 2 things open. Okay. Ooh. And if I didn't call out on you because you don't have something going on yet, you soon will. If you keep this up, you're gaining momentum. See how this works when we just simply do our jobs? That goes along with, I want to share a couple of takeaways from Mega Camp. Okay. Anybody interested in what happened there? So I went over some of this with the growth group on Tuesday. So if after having heard a little bit of this and had some time to think about it, if you have something to add to this, please do. Okay. So a couple key things that I want, there's several key things, but 2 key things that goes along with what we've just been saying. One of the things that Gary Keller came out of the gate with pretty close to the beginning. First of all, they always start off with a market update. And he showed us some slides about what's going on in the market nationwide. And he showed what was going on in Canada too. They always do that. Here's the thing, guys. The outlook is the same. There's not going to be any magic, oh, things are going to get so much better in the next couple of months. There's nothing on the horizon that shows that the rest of this year is going to be any better than what it has been. That's the truth. Okay. But here's the other part of that truth. There is still plenty of real estate business for everyone. There's a caveat, and he said it twice, and the second time it was emphasized. The caveat is if you do the work. So don't get in your head about interest rates are high and buyers don't want to buy or sellers don't want to sell because interest rates are high. That's garbage. Now, is that true for some people? Sure, but because it's legitimately true. Their finances, maybe they're priced out of the market for the time being, but there's still plenty of buyers out there. So a couple things I want to add to that. We had a guest speaker. His name was Phil Jones, Phil M. Jones. So maybe there's another Phil Jones out there. And if you have a chance, I'm ordering the book from Amazon. He was an amazing speaker. And I hope at some point they release that video. I don't know if they will. But he said several key takeaways that I'm going to talk about today. But one of the things he said is that our jobs shouldn't be easy. We help people with the biggest transaction of their life. How many agents do you know that don't really do their job? They don't prospect 2 to 3 hours every single day. They want to write an offer and get a check at the end of escrow. They don't want to do all the stuff in the middle. Those of you that have done transactions, have you worked with an agent like that? Yeah, I'm sure we all have. And if you haven't, trust me, you will. Because, I think the 80-20 rule applies to agents too. 80% of them don't know what they're doing. So our job shouldn't be easy because we make a lot of money for what we do when you think about it. So when you come up to those phone calls that you have to make and you're like, oh, I don't want to call this person. I don't feel like doing that today. Remember, it shouldn't be easy. I also want you to remember something else that he said, and it made me look at this in a completely different light, and maybe it'll help you. Fear is the fertilizer of growth. Think about that for a minute. Fear is the fertilizer of growth. What does that mean to you?
Means when you struggle through a hardship, you should learn quite a bit from it. Partly is what it means.
Yeah. Anybody else want to add to that?
And I think when you push through something you're fearful of doing, you learn that you can actually do it.
Yeah. So the next time that fear comes over you, and it's inevitable, right? It's going to happen to all of us at some point in time. The next time that fear comes over you, instead of giving into it, think about, oh, this just means I'm getting ready to grow. If I push past this fear, it will help me personally. It will help my business. Rick?
Yeah, I had an acronym that for both of those, and one of them it's for fear. F everything and run, or face everything and rebuild.
I love it. I love the second one. It's your choice though, right? fear, or what's the bold law, fear or faith, you choose,
Mhm.
right? But if we live in the fear and we run from it, what does that do for us? But if we face it, that's where we grow. So I thought that was just it's a different way to say some of the things that we always say and we always coach you to, right? But it just puts a little bit of different, maybe mindset to it. And so I did want to bring that out. Something else that he talked about. So his whole presentation was about the words that we use matter, and the choice in our words matter. And actually, the choice in our words can make a big difference, right? Let me give you just a simple example of that. When we're coaching you to say, set an appointment, right? It's natural for somebody to say, okay, well, now all we need to do is meet. So what's your schedule like? What time is good for you? When are you available? Well, we just gave the control over to them, right? And maybe they can't come up with something. But when we say, okay, all we need to do is meet now, I'm available today at this time or tomorrow at this time, which one works best for you? Not does that work for you? Which one works best for you? Now they feel like they have to choose one, even if they have to rearrange their schedule. And maybe they can't, and then it becomes a discussion. But more times than not, you're going to actually set an appointment when you want it set, right? So words matter. Such as a couple things that he said when trying to get somebody to make a commitment to something, right? I'm not sure if it's for you, but depending on what it is, you fill in the blank after that. So people don't want to be told if something's good for them or not. They want to make that decision. So it's almost like you're challenging them, so it helps them to accept whatever it is that you're trying to accomplish, right? Or what about saying, maybe you're not sure where they're at with accepting an appointment or going to the next step or whichever it is. How open-minded would you be to, right? So how open-minded would you be to meeting with me to finish discussing the details so we can find you the perfect home, right? Or how about just imagine when we get your house sold and you're able to move to the coast like you have been planning to do for so many years, how you'll feel. Right? So putting them into it. One of the other things that was really brought out, and now this week I want you to focus on something, okay? This is kind of a mini challenge. It's not really a challenge in the form of the challenge we've been doing, but really focus on this next statement. Don't use the word I. So think about that. How often do you use the word I? I did this. I took a listing. I helped a buyer. I opened an escrow. Who's the focus on? Yeah. Versus, like, say, doing a social media post, right? Go back through and look at your posts. Now, there's no judgment in this, by the way. Okay. Go back through and look at your posts. Who are they about? Are they about you? Or are they about your people? So I just took a listing at 123 Main Street. Woohoo! Or congratulations to my seller who just put their home on the market. So they can go on to their next adventure, whatever it is, right? Same post, still bringing attention to your listing agent, but where's the emphasis? So think about that this week. I challenge you I, right? So see, right? If I say I even just caught myself. I challenge you. So your challenge this week is to think about how often do you say the word I where you could say something else. There are times it's appropriate.
I'm scrolling through my business page, and the number of them that start with I or I'm are disturbing. But they're not, I don't have a lot of business going on right now. So they're not actual ones of I just closed a thing or something like that. They're, the funny ones where I'm trying to keep people engaged or trying to get people to respond, but still.
Yeah. Just the next time you find yourself saying or writing I, how can you rephrase?
Jody,
Yes.
we had a training a couple weeks ago, and his main, or not main focus, but one of his focuses was on text messages, and he was kind of talking about this main thing is not really saying I and saying you a lot. So focusing on them and saying you. So ever since that, I've taken that away, and thanks for the reminder. I think that's a good tip.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you for sharing that. It makes a big difference. It makes a big difference in how we come across, and it's not something that we often think about because we're just so used to talking that way, right? So really think about that this week. Even if you can change one post of how you would have
Yeah, and he also said that 95% of text messages get opened. So after that, I've been very vigilant when I send a text to be like, okay, I definitely know they're gonna read this. Let's make it good. He mentioned also that emojis will get more opens, and if you make misspellings, that'll get more opens and responses for some reason. So yeah, I've been including emojis more in my text as well too.
Awesome.
Jody taught us that about 2 years ago. Remember, Jody?
What'd you say?
I was saying you taught us that about emojis about 2 years ago.
Yeah, and the misspellings, right? Anthony, was that Cody Gibson?
Yeah, it was.
So,
Yeah.
and it's really true about the whole spelling thing. So many people are wrapped up in everything being perfect that they don't get things out. Now, that's not to say we should intentionally, and although sometimes they'll tell you to intentionally misspell something or leave a punctuation mark out. Do you know why that works? Does anybody know why that works? And Anthony, don't answer because Cody probably told you.
I don't care if it does. I will never unintentionally misspell something. No way, no how, not happening.
I can't either.
Yeah, I was doing it, and it was very weird to misspell things or do like a comma instead of a period. But no, I don't remember what he said. Why?
Here's the thing: if everything we do is too perfect, we're not perfect as people, right? So if everything is always perfect, it dehumanizes us.
Okay, yeah.
So humans make mistakes. It doesn't mean you should intentionally go make a mistake on everything that you do. What it does mean is don't stress the mistakes that are made. Yes, you can go back and correct a misspelling or whatever. Just don't trip on it if it gets sent out because we're not perfect people. Everything we do isn't going to be perfect. And it just humanizes us. And people identify with that better. Strangely enough, there's been studies on that. This whole issue with interest rates and different things. Another thing that we could talk about is what most people would do is, right? So maybe we get asked a question, or maybe we get given an objection. What most people in that situation would do is, right? Look at the numbers. Look at, does that actually affect your finances? Or is the headline just shock value to where, oh, I can't afford it now? So let's look at the numbers. Is the payment okay? Does the interest rate really matter? I saw a Facebook post today. Some of you may have seen it. Let me see if I can find it again. It says, you don't want a mortgage at 7%, but credit cards are 14%. A lot of them are 29, 30%. BMW at 8.5% and rent at 100%. Hashtag buy the house, thank me later.
Awesome.
Do you know somebody with a $3,000 credit card bill paying a minimum payment at whatever interest rate it is will take them 30 years to pay that off? That's $3,000 versus paying off a house in 30 years.
And that's if they don't continue charging to it, which when's that going to happen?
Yeah.
Jody, an objection I've been getting lately is not necessarily on interest rates, but if people like my friends looking at the whole like amount of interest on the term of the loan is what like kind of shoos them away. And then of course I go into all the benefits of home ownership, but they're still like, yeah, but you're paying all this over the life of the loan. And I'm like, well, it is what it is if you want to buy a home. Do you have like a good objection handler for that?
So how about turning that around on them and saying, yeah, that is a lot of money. So are you telling me you would prefer to continue paying that for someone else by continuing to pay rent? They don't think like that, right? We have to sometimes change their thinking because all they think is, oh my gosh, that's such a lot of money. Yeah, but you're paying it one way or the other.
Yeah.
Why not pay it to build equity? Because they're still, and a lot of times in rent, they're paying more in rent than they're paying for a house payment. So turn that right back around on them, but in a way that gives them food for thought, right? Help them think.
I like
So
that.
here's
That's
something awesome. So here's something I want all of you to think about. This is a statement that he makes in general, okay? And then we're going to change the statement to make it apply to our business. The quality of life is directly related to the quantity of asking for what you want. Think about that. So let's change it a little bit. The quality of your business is directly related to the quantity of asking for the business. How many of you, and you don't have to raise your hand and tell on yourself, this is an internal question unless you want to share. How many of you have qualifying conversations and don't ask for the buyer consultation or the listing appointment? Or have a buyer consultation and don't ask for that buyer's rep to be signed? How many of you have a listing appointment and don't ask for the listing agreement to be signed? You're waiting for them to say, okay, let's move forward. How many of you talk to somebody where a real estate conversation comes into play and you don't ask for a referral? Think about that. The quality of your business is directly related to the quantity of asking for the business. And the single biggest reason, and this has been proven for years, the single biggest reason people don't have business is simply because they don't ask the question. They don't close the deal. They do all the pre-work, but don't ask for the business. What in the world did you waste all your time for if you're not going to ask for the business? And then you find out that same person went to an open house and wrote an offer with the agent there. Well, wait a minute. Why didn't you write it with me? They didn't ask me to. Whose job is it to get the business? Yours or your client's?
All right.
So think about that. The next time that fear comes over you about asking for what you need to go to the next step, use that as a growth moment and ask. And you'll be surprised how much more business you'll have. Okay. Couple last things that I want to talk about from this is a couple quick things. 80-20. You guys are all familiar with the 80-20 rule, right? 80% of the results comes from 20% of our actions. And if you think about it, 80-20 applies in a lot of aspects of life. It's a numbers game, right? If we're successful 20% of the time, we're winning the game. Here's the thing. We have been hammering for months now on qualifying questions, right? And the importance of when the buyer or seller raises their hand to say, I want to buy or sell a house, we go to the qualifying questions. And we've been hammering it because no matter how much we do, people still are trying to skip to the appointment. We don't know anything about them yet to get to the appointment. The appointment is to solidify, right? We've got to get to the motivation. So apply the 80-20 rule to your qualifying questions. 80% of that conversation and those questions should be to get to their motivation. 20% should be on the criteria. Does that make sense? We all spend too much time worrying about the details instead of really trying to figure out where their motivation is. How can we best help them? And how can you be a fiduciary, which you know is your number one job, right? How can you be a fiduciary if you don't know how to best help them? And the only way to do that is to ask the questions. Okay. Thoughts, questions, comments?
We get out of our business what we put into it, and that's why I had a couple of blank spots this year. I know if I would have never took my foot off the gas, I would have, just like Ross was saying, I would have been in a little bit better position than I am now.
Yeah. I'm going to ask you 4 questions, and I want you to answer these internally, okay? And I want you to write these questions down, and I want you to think about this through the week. And this is going to help you in who you choose to call, okay? Who are the people you should ask more questions of? Who are the people you should ask more questions of? What are the conversations you should be having that you're not? What are the conversations you should be having that you're not? Where are the relationships you have that create opportunities? Where are the relationships you have that create opportunities? And then lastly, how many people did you have a near opportunity with that didn't turn to business? How many people did you have a near opportunity with that didn't turn to business or that should have turned to business? So my guess is that you could come up with 3 to 5 names at minimum for every one of those questions. And those should be the people that you're reaching out to this week. If you could come up with 5 names to each one of those questions, that's 20 people right there. Thoughts, questions, comments?
So This kind of falls under the near opportunity question. How would you reapproach somebody who you did a actually pretty good listing appointment with, done a couple follow-ups, and they're just sitting on the fence? And it really has to do with sitting on the fence about what they want to do with retirement after they sell the house. So it's just kind of like they're feel like when I'm not talking about it, they're intentionally forgetting about it. And then when I talk to them about it again, they start talking about it, but won't move past the discussion phase.
Well, part of that would be in the qualifying questions to begin with, right? How motivated are they? So do you feel like you have their motivation?
Yeah, during the conversation, it feels like they're pretty motivated. And then on the follow-up, there's either family interference or something going on, and then they back off again. But they're still pending, they're still active, just kind of floating around out there, a couple of them.
Well, so my suggestion would be just to keep in regular touch with them. Don't let too long go by without some kind of communication, right? So somebody else can't slip in there.
That's my biggest concern, is like someone calls next week when I don't call, and then I see a sign in the yard.
Yeah. Well, at this point, if you really think they're that serious and just for whatever reason life is happening and haven't pulled the trigger yet, I would be in touch with them regular, like at least once a week. And you could even get it to the point where you say, hey, so and so, this is my regular weekly check-in just to see how you're doing. And if you're a little, if you're getting closer to being ready, or have you thought of any questions I could help you with, right? And it could even after a while just be, this is your regular weekly check-in. How are things going?
I like
So
what you just
that
said.
way-
Have you thought of any questions I can help you with? Because I've said so many different things. I'm trying to think of what I could say in my next call.
Yeah. But then if you just calendar it and do it weekly and hey, this is your regular weekly check-in, then they know you're going to be checking in with them every week until they pull the trigger.
And I'm sure that you have had this experience, because I'm understanding this is not uncommon, where it looks like something's going to happen, then there's extended family interference. Have you just had to wait that out, or? Yeah.
So yes, oftentimes that is the case. And maybe you could offer to talk to the family members. So, but it depends on what the interference is. Do the family members have questions? You could even go back to that person and say, you've mentioned before that your family members have been, I don't know what they're saying, right? Asking questions or giving you pause or for whatever reason. Would it be beneficial if we had a meeting, everyone together, so that I could answer their questions and alleviate some of their fears?
Very good. Thank you.
Or going back to, one of the phrases that Phil used, how open would you be to having a meeting with your family as well? Or just like you said, I'm not sure if this would be for you, but what if we were to meet with your family? That's one of those times where the word but works appropriately, right? Because a lot of times it's and. But in this case, it is a but, right? Because I'm not sure if it's going to work for you, but so it's not like a negative necessarily, and yet it gives them pause to think. So I want to, how many of you are still having trouble with, once you have the buyer consultation, asking to have the buyer rep agreement signed? Okay, got some honest hands up here. Okay, so, and funny enough, the hands that went up heard this once, but I'm gonna say it again because this is they're in the group that I did this with. And there's a reason that I'm going to share this with you. So at Mega Camp, we were they have a new book. You may have seen it. The Millionaire Real Estate Agent Playbook. 171 or something like that pages of action items. So it essentially takes the principles from the MREA book and puts them into action. And everything in here is a 1 page. And it's a 1 page from interviews with successful agents all over in Keller Williams. And so the reason I say that, while we do want to focus on listings, and there's lots in here that we'll bring to you, the reason I said that is because earlier when we talked about something, I saw a couple of you waver with the buyer rep agreement question. Okay. So our normal thing with our buyer's rep or our buyer's consultation, of course, is to figure out all the logistics and details and set the expectation and all that. So there's a couple of things that I really want. Well, there's 3 things that I want you to add to your buyer consultations. This comes from an agent in Springfield, Missouri. And just to give you a little bit of her background, it says, Carrie and her crew successfully represented more than 2,000 buyers with over 230 buyers in 2022 alone. She sets them up for success from the start with the ultimate buyer intake and consultation. The following steps are how she builds out her consultation and buyers. It goes through, getting all the information, the DNA form about them, meeting her team, the flow chart, so basically setting the expectations of how to work together, why they should work with them. Okay, here is one of the 3 things that I want you to take note of. You know that in the buyer consultation and the listing appointment, so this could apply for either, you should set expectations on working with you, right? And how to work with you, how you will work together. I'm going to read this straight out of the book. Carrie loves buyers, and she loves that they are excited to purchase. However, she also loves her life, and that's why she's provided her hours of operation. These hours are 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. Saturday, and she is closed on Sunday. What does Carrie do in every one of her buyer consultations? What?
He controls her life.
That's limits.
Yeah. She sets expectations for how to work with her. Now, do you think that hurt her business? No. 230 buyers in 2022. That's not a hurting business. How many of you are setting expectations in your buyer consultations and your listing appointments? Good, Anthony. If you're not, start doing it. Remember, we want you to have a life by design, not a life of chaos.
Yeah, in this week I made a buyer's consultation like Google slide, like a PowerPoint, and on like one of the slides it says like how to work with me basically and what it's like working with me. And one of the lines basically says like just like that, like my hours are 8 to 7. If things happen after times, I'll get it done, but most of the time my hours are 8 to 7. So
I love that. All professional people have hours of operation. Why are we any different? Right? Okay. 7 commandments. So this is a page that lists the most common ways that buyers end up harming themselves because they just don't know. It shares advice like don't change your employment status and don't increase the credit card debt. So that's something. Do you guys talk about that in your buyer consultations? If you Google 10 commandments of real estate, you'll find little images and memes of the 10 things you shouldn't do if you're in the process of buying a house, right? Don't increase your credit, don't go buy a car, don't go buy furniture for your new house on credit, all those things that they don't think about that could actually kill the deal at the end. Make sure that you're telling them that, and maybe even print out one of the funny things that they have online for that. Okay, but here's the other point. Number 9, and her last point, is loyalty agreement. Commonly referred to as a buyer's representation agreement, Carrie will not work with a buyer without one. How many buyers did they work with last year?
200 plus.
230. That means 230 signed buyers representation agreements.
So I'm taking that to understand if somebody doesn't want to sign it, they pass on them.
Yep.
Okay.
Here's the thing, guys. I know when you're trying to build your business and you want business, it's hard. You just want to do anything you can to work with them. But let me tell you, from years of experience and from years of other people's experience that I've watched, if a person doesn't want to sign a buyer's rep agreement, there's a couple of reasons for that. One is you haven't answered all their questions. And so find out what questions they still have and answer them, and they'll likely sign it. The other is they're not going to be loyal to you. You're going to run ragged for them, especially in a market where there's very little inventory, showing them property after property, writing offer after offer. They're going to be the ones to walk into an open house or a new construction subdivision and sign with the agent there. And I don't care who they are. I don't care if they're your own mother. I'm not kidding. I know it's funny, but I'm not kidding. And I hear all the time, oh, but I know they said this and they said that. They say things all the time. Have you ever heard the phrase buyers are liars? They are. There's a reason that phrase came about, right? I don't care who they are. I don't care what they said. You should not be spending your valuable time working with anyone who will not sign a buyer's agreement. And if you're not even going to bother to ask for that to happen, why are you in this business? Why are you wasting your time? The proper way to do your job is to ask the questions, have the appointment, get the agreement signed. Let me ask you. Oh, go ahead.
I have an appointment today, especially with the buyer to sign that agreement, but I'm scared.
That's
It's gonna
okay.
be my first one.
Well, yay, congratulations to that. But remember, what is fear?
Face it. Face the fear.
Well, face your fear, but fear is the fertilizer of growth. Let me share a quick story, okay? There is an agent who was with me for a couple of years. She was in Tulare County Market Center. She was very good at doing everything that I asked her to do. She was also very fearful of doing everything I asked her to do. But she took a deep breath. She did not want to ask to have buyer's rep agreement signed. She didn't even want to ask to have the buyer consultation. She started having all her buyers come into the office to have an actual consultation, and she did not end that without having them sign the buyer's representation agreement. The first time she did it, she was very scared, but she got it signed. And from then on, she has never worked with a buyer where she didn't get it signed, and it just became the norm. Here's the thing. The only people who are fearful of getting those documents signed is you, right? They don't know that's not the normal way to do business. If you go to a listing appointment and they are going to list their house with you, are you allowed to list it without a listing agreement? No. Are you allowed to work with a buyer without a buyer's agreement? Unfortunately, yes. But what if they change the rules tomorrow and they say you are not allowed to work with a buyer without a buyer's rep agreement?
Then we'd have everyone sign one.
Ta-da! So I'm here to tell you, as agents in my PC group, I want you to be the best you can be. I don't want you wasting your time and spinning your wheels. You are not allowed to work with a buyer without having a buyer's representation agreement signed.
Got it.
Does that help?
Yes.
Here's what I just did for you, Ava.
Yes.
If they hesitate to sign, then the first thing is, oh, well, did I miss any questions that you aren't sure of that you still have? And if they say no, oh, okay, great. Well, all I need to do then is have you sign this because this is our normal practice of business. You know, just like we don't list a house without a listing agreement, we need to have this signed in order to start working together.
And for how many days we have to do that agreement?
I recommend you do them for 6 months to a year. Now, here's the thing, if they really balk at it, then I would say, you know what? Here's what I'm going to do for you, since you seem to be a little hesitant. I'll make this for 30 days because one of two things are guaranteed to happen in those 30 days. One, either we're going to find you the perfect house and you're going to be so happy and on your way to being a homeowner, or two, I will have proven everything I've told you I will do and you'll be so happy with me, this won't be even an issue.
Okay.
Don't offer that out the gate. The way you present a buyer's representation agreement is it's just part of the norm. So you finish your buyer consultation and you say, okay, now the next thing we do so I can start working for you is just have you sign this buyer's representation agreement. And this is what puts me to work for you.
Okay.
Fabi?
Yeah, quick question. So can they still work with another agent once they sign the agreement with you?
They are not supposed to. It is a loyalty to agree. They're signing that they're agreeing to work with you exclusively. That's as long
But
as
what
you
if they
check that
say they
proper
went to
box.
they went to see a house and they talked to the listing agent and the listing agent told them he'll represent them and all that and whatnot. So they're
So
okay with that?
if you have a buyer's representation agreement signed, and part of getting that signed is making it clear that this is you agreeing to work exclusively with me, then they
Mm-hmm.
shouldn't be working with anyone else. Now, can we always ensure that? Not necessarily. Are we going to make an issue of it if something happens? No. And it creates that loyalty, so that's less likely to happen. Also, what it creates is, say you find out they are working with another agent and that agent is telling them, right? Where your buyer comes back to you and says, oh, this agent said that I could work with them. You could then call that agent and say, well, actually, I have a buyer's representation agreement signed with them. And so I would like you to stop talking to them.
Got it.
Sorry.
Any questions on that?
Judy, I have a question. They can sign it on person or they have to be only online?
Either way.
Either
Either
way,
way is
okay.
fine.
Perfect.
Yeah. It's nice if you're going to meet with them in person to have it printed out or have it on your tablet to where you can immediately email it to them to sign right there. They can sign it on their phone. So either way, but best practice is to have it signed by the end of the consultation.
Oh, perfect. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And just as long as you present it like this is just how this works, you should not have any trouble. Very rarely will you have any trouble with that.
Okay.
You got it, Eva. And
Thank you.
here's Jody's line. The line of like, all right, to get forward or to move forward, this is our next step. You're going to sign this agreement. And this is basically an employment contract that you're agreeing to work with me. Use that line right there and you got it, Eva.
Yeah.
Thank you, Anthony.
And if all else fails, your broker requires it.
Yep. Oh yeah, blame it on the broker. Hey guys, that's the reason I just said this in this Zoom. Blame it on me. I don't care. Blame it on me, blame it on the broker, blame it on whoever you need to, but you got to get it done. Okay? So, Ava, I would like you, after your buyer's appointment, please let us know in the WhatsApp chat how it went.
Okay.
Okay? You guys, use that chat to share your wins. That chat isn't just to ask a random question. It is for that too. But help encourage each other. Because when you see somebody share a win, that's not about I, right? It's about we can all do this. It just so happened to be my turn, right? Your turn's coming. So keep each other encouraged, because that's how, if one person posts and they can do it, then you can do it too. Right? Business is out there. So help encourage each other by putting your wins in that chat. It's as much for that as it is getting help, okay? That's how we can all help each other.
Thank you, Judith.
You're welcome. Okay, we are just about at the top of the hour. Any last thoughts, questions, comments before we go?
Jodi, I have a question,
Mm-hmm.
but it's not related to what we're talking about today. Can I still ask it?
Yes, but real fast, just in case somebody has to jump off, because we've got 2 minutes. Hang on. I want you the same 4 choices that you had last week. Okay. Choose one, right? 2 open houses, 100 circle calls, 100 door knocks, or what was the other one? Ask for 50 referrals. Choose one, focus on that. Okay. That and that's in addition to your appointment. You must have a real or practice appointment and keep up with your DTD4. Okay. So thank you, Emily. Everybody put your choice in the chat. And Sebastian, your question.
I couldn't unmute myself. How many of you guys here, when you guys are working with the buyer, call up the listing agent before and ask them, well, what are the best offers on the home? Is
Everybody
that
should
the
be
right
doing
thing?
that.
Yeah,
Okay.
I do. Yeah, for
Perfect.
sure.
Because I did that yesterday, and I'm not gonna say what company they work for, who it was, but she sounded disgusted. I asked her that, and she was like, "What makes you think it's okay to ask me that?" And I'm like, "Well, I've heard it's good practice for the best interest in your client and mine." And I gave her an example, and then she was like, "And you think it's ethical?" And I'm like, "I think it's very ethical, and that's what I've been told to do." And she was like, "They're telling you to say that?" And I'm like, "Yeah, they are, but if you don't want to tell me, you don't have to." And she sounded disgusted. She didn't want to tell me, and it just made me feel bad. Like, it made me feel like I was doing something wrong, but I was like, wait, I swear I've heard this so many times to call the listing agent before. So I don't know if she's never got a call like that or no one's ever asked her, but she did not like it.
So unfortunately, remember we talked about there's a lot of agents out there that don't know what they're doing. If you guys have 2 more minutes to give me, if you have to jump off, please jump off. Emily, I realize you're sticking around, so am I messing you up if I take 2 extra minutes? Okay, I want to show
I really
you
look like I'm going anywhere.
I really want to show you something important to that, okay? So I am pulling up the sample document from the PC Toolkit, and it is the PRBS. It is the document that is signed along with the residential purchase agreement and the listing agreement. And there is a paragraph in there, which most people are not aware of. This is why, you guys, you have to read your documents, and this is why this is part of your onboarding with us. I'm going to share the screen.
And Troy always shares that in his contracts class too, what you're about to share.
Yes. Offers right here. It's on the possible representation of more than one buyer or seller, commonly known as the PRBS. Offers not necessarily confidential. Buyer is advised that seller or listing agent may disclose the existence, terms, or conditions of a buyer's offer unless all parties and their agent have signed a written confidentiality agreement. Whether any such information is actually disclosed depends on many factors such as current market conditions, prevailing practice, listing agent's marketing strategy, and instructions to the seller. That is where you can tell them, and don't be rude or flip about it, right? But you can say, well, actually, our PRBS states that you can share that information if you choose to, unless, of course, your seller has asked you not to.
Yeah.
Then it's up to them. If they want to be a stinker, they want to be a stinker. But here's what that is. That is not a fiduciary.
I have a friend that uses the line. So if she's asking about what kind of offers they have, and the sellers and the listing agent's like, well, I can't tell you that. She'll say, "Oh, has your seller asked you not to disclose it?" To kind of start the conversation of, yeah, this is actually okay.
Yeah. That's a great way to do that. Or you
There's
can say,
somebody- I was gonna say 11 o'clock right before this, there was a class at Porter Ranch about getting offers accepted, and they did say to ask. And Audrey, who's the office broker there, said the only time they really can't tell you is if the seller says don't share it.
right.
It
So
has to be
Sebastian,
right.
I'm really sorry that that person was a stinker to you. But please don't let that discourage you because that person's just a stinker.
Yeah, it did it for like
I
about
think-
30 minutes, but I was like,
Yeah.
I
I
just
would
need
just,
a-
honestly, I would just cut off the conversation. If somebody's not going to tell you, they're not going to tell you and you can't force them to.
yeah,
But I would just say, okay, I understand. Can you give me at least an idea of where we need to come in at to be in the running?
yeah. I tried, but she didn't want to budge for anything. But it's okay. We're still gonna submit the offer, and just hopefully-
Sebastian,
yes,
I got a little tidbit, maybe might help. This is what I do when I deal with agents. I put in your phone contacts where you can put notes under their contacts, and
yeah,
I put on there difficult or something that'll remind me of how this transaction went down. So I know next time and I'm prepared and I don't get shocked and say, oh, what an asshole, or something like that.
yeah.
Sorry, guys.
No, yeah. Thank you.
Notes
Don't
on
forget, we're
everybody, like,
recorded.
super nice or very efficient. I put notes on all the people I work with. It helps.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you.
That's a good idea.
All the ones, Sebastian, of all the ones I've called, there's only been one or two that really stick out that were difficult. Most are very professional that I've dealt with.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And you are doing a great job, Sebastian. Keep it up. I hope you saw in the WhatsApp chat where I posted the two agents on stage at Mega Camp who were 24 and 22 years old and how
Oh.
successful they're being. And
yeah,
if you didn't see it, scroll up.
yeah. You also mentioned in the sales meeting yesterday, and they really like stuck to me because of their age, and
Yeah.
I'm also young, so
Yep. You got this. Keep it up.
yeah. Thank you. Thank
All
you.
right, everybody. Thank you for the extra 4 minutes. I hope this was valuable today. See you next week.